Hello, this is Amanda for Lavinia World, and today we will be making a galaxy Northern Lights type themed background with some foil stars. So let's get started. I'm going to be using the Fairy Hugs Galaxy stencil that I used for a Christmas card back in December. And I put some pixie spray on the back of it. And then I'm going to be using the DecoFoil transfer gel, and this is the regular transfer gel. This is the one that you have to run through a laminator. You don't have the option to run this one through your die cut machine. And I'm spreading it with a palette knife, and then you will see that I do switch to the what is that called? I totally lost the name of that, but the big spreader thing from DecoFoil and ThemoWeb. I got this for Christmas, so I did kind of forget that I had this. So that's why I started with the palette knife. And then I'm like, what am I doing? I have this cool little spreader thing that I totally forgot that I had. The name escapes me right now. I'm not feeling real well today, so forgive me if names escape me. Anyway. So I am going to wipe off my jar here, and then I'm going to put the saran wrap back on and put the lid back on. I do put saran wraps on all my pastes and gels and things just to make sure that they don't dry out. So we're going to remove the stencil, and I'm going to go wash that off screen. So I did let this gel dry for about an hour or so. You just want to make sure that the gel turns from white to clear. And then I put that beautiful foil on there that's called Brilliant Blue. It is a Gina DecoFoil collaboration, and it's got these little stars on it, kind of like a holographic look. And then I ran that through my laminator. I do run that through at least 2 or 3 times. I like to do at least one with the foil side up and then one with the foil side down, because I'm not really sure which way my heating plates are. So I like to do at least one up and one down. So then I'm taking my my Tombow Mono sand eraser here. I did have a little bit of overfoiling in the corner, so I'm just going to sand off those little extra bits. And if you noticed, my my paper did stick to my typing paper transfer sheet. That's what I use when I just stick it through my laminator. So I did cut that little extra bit off. It wasn't that my cardstock ripped, it was that my my typing paper stuck to my cardstock, so I just kind of cut off that little excess bit that stuck. I must have had some transfer gel on the back side of my cardstock. So now, of course, we're going to do some ink blending, because if you've seen my videos before, you know that I love to ink blend my background, so that's what we're going to do here. So I kind of thought that this little wavy bit in the center here kind of looked like the Northern Lights Aurora Borealis kind of thing going on here, so that is what I'm going to go with. So I decided to do that in the Peacock Feathers and the Twisted Citron and Distress inks. I do prefer Distress inks over Distress oxides. I have pretty much the full collection of both. I believe I'm missing 1 ink pad in each in each color that I still need to get, but that's what I decided to do here in the middle. And I wasn't sure how far I wanted to go up, if I was going to do the whole spiral in both colors, if I was going to do kind of a color shifting thing here, or what. That's kind of why I only did partial at the beginning, part way up. But then I decided that I was just going to go the whole way with both colors. So that's what I did there. And then I'm going to do the edges on either side in some blues and purples. So I'm going to start off here with Salty Ocean on the bottom, kind of make it a lighter color. And then we're going to gradually go up in some darker blues and finish off in a dark, well, kind of dark purple. So we're going to switch to Blueprint Sketch here. And then we're going to move to Chipped Sapphire. That's what we're going to move to the next color. So I'm just going to kind of do a gradient here, and I'm going to try and match that little tiny edge on the other side, blend that into the Twisted Citron. Then we're going to move on to the Chipped Sapphire. And as we go up, we're obviously going to have just a little tiny bit of blue on the edge on the one side, and then we're going to get a little bit more blue on the other side, because that spiral, or that kind of like wavy part that's going to become our Aurora Borealis, you know, kind of shifts, and we get more on one side, less on the other. So we're just filling in that area. And I decided that I wanted to finish off and give it a little bit of a purple hue, so we're moving into the Wilted Violet. I'm just going to add that in on the edges, and then I did bring it down a little bit into the bottom and give a little bit of a purpley hue down there, I believe. Maybe not. Nope, I guess I did not. And then because your ink does get on that foil, I am just going to rub that off like you would with embossing powder. That way it doesn't rub off on your hands because it's not going to dry on the foil. I'm just going to rub that off. And then we will be moving on. Oh, like I don't remember what I did next, but I do. So I got some Posca pens for Christmas as well. So I primed this just by pushing the nib down to get the acrylic paint to flow. And then I'm just going to add in some little white dots to add in some more stars. Just kind of give it a little bit of a dimensional effect here. And I didn't show all that, obviously, because me making little white dots is just kind of boring. So now I'm going to bring out Faith from the Lavinia Stamps collection. I'm going to stamp her in some VersaFine Claire. This is a new stamp to my collection, so I'm going to stamp her twice to get a nice bold image. And I am stamping this on some Nina Classic Crest 80-pound cardstock. Just because I am going to pop her up, so I did want some fairly sturdy cardstock for this. So once we get her stamped out twice, I am going to use the Fairy Cuts die for this, and the Fairy Cuts is called Wonder Fairy. I'm just going to line that up, and I'm going to use some low-tack tape to tape her down. And then I'll take that over to my die cut machine off screen and die cut her out. And it took me just a second to get that lined up because I shifted it right as I was putting down my tape, of course. You know, it never seems to fail that I do that. I have shaky hands due to a nerve condition, so I tend to do that often. All right, so I got her cut out, and of course, because I cut it out on white cardstock, which I often do, I didn't want that white outline, so I'm going to ink blend the edges so she doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And I thought that I would have some leftover ink on my brushes because I often do, but I didn't this time. So I'm going to bring out the blueprint sketch to ink blend on the very edges because I want her to kind of blend in where I'm going to set her. So on the very edges it would be blue, and towards the center would be the Peacock Feathers and the Twisted Citron. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to take a smaller brush and take that Twisted Citron and put it towards the right hand center of her. And then we will move to the Peacock Feathers on the left hand center. So I'm just going to take one of those small little blending brushes that I have in my collection that we often are like, what are we going to use this for? But I actually use it more often than I thought I would when I first got the blending brushes. So now I'm moving on to that Peacock Feathers and blending that in. Then I'm going to go back to this Twisted Citron because I felt like I didn't get enough. I'm just going to wipe my brush off real quick and then go back to that Twisted Citron and get that in there a little bit more. And then I decided that I needed to blend it out again with the blueprint sketch. I am very fiddly with my ink blending, but I like to get the results that I like to get, so I will fiddle around with it a bit. So I decided that was good. I'm going to wipe off my mat here real quick because I don't want to get the ink on my card base when I bring that out. So I'm going to pop her up on some foam. I do use the X-Fasten foam from Amazon because, well, it's cheap. The red liner kind of drives me nuts because it's staticky, but I can't beat the price. So, and it is one of the things that I like about it is that it is acid free. So next we are going to move on to stamping my sentiment. I'm using the Fairy Happy Birthday from Lavinia Stamps, and I'm going to stamp that in Versamark. I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool first, stamp that in Versamark, and then we're going to white heat emboss that, so you're not really going to see that right away. And I'm going to use Simon Says Stamp Fine Detail White Embossing Powder for that. Here in a second. Had to grab that. And I did have some excess that I wanted to get off first, even though it probably wasn't going to be in my die cut anyway, but I just wanted to get off the excess. And then I'm going to bring out that Peacock Feathers and the Twisted Citron again. And I'm going to do some multicolor kind of back and forth ink blending here real quick. Doesn't need to be perfect. And just go back and forth and do a couple little spots of it. Thought it'd be fun to have it go back and forth from the Twisted Citron and the Peacock Feathers. Wipe my mat off again. And then I'm going to use some of the My Favorite Things Slanted Sentiment Strip dies. Pick out one that fits it just perfectly. And then, silly me, I tried to tape this down even though my ink is wet because I'm impatient and I'm not going to sit there and let it dry. So then I'm going to grab some bigger tape and try to tape it down. And it still really didn't stick, but that's fine. I'm just going to run it through my die cut machine real quick. And it may have shifted a little bit, but it was close enough. So then I got some of that X-Fasten foam tape on there again. I'm going to pop that up. Then we're going to glue, well, once I straighten this out, because of course I didn't get it straight the first time. Then we're going to glue that onto my card base. And I do use the Nina Classic Crest 110 pound in the Solar White. I'm just going to glue that down real quick. And that finishes off the card for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I will show it to the camera so you can see all those sparkly holographic stars. I thought this was a very fun card. As always, the supplies are listed and linked in the description box below, as the links to the Lavinia World store as well, and the Anything Lavinia World Facebook group. We would love for you to join us over there and share your projects. We have a lot of fun in that group. There are challenges and all sorts of fun things. And as always, I hope that you have a great day.